welcome back everybody to the challenge brief history lesson. This week's brief history lesson is all on the puzzle master herself. That's right, we're talking about Sarah Rice, and she made her MTV debut on The Real World Brooklyn. And not too long after that show wrapped up, she made her MTV Challenge debut on the 18th season of the challenge called The Ruins. Now on The Ruins, Sarah went into 2 eliminations, won both of them, one against Katie, one against Johanna. She made it all the way to the finals in her rookie season, and she came up just short against a very stacked, very talented challenge champions team on The Ruins with such names like Derek K and Bananas. However, Sarah was back on the next season of the challenge, season 19, called Fresh Meat 2, where she picked Vinnie Fodi 10th overall. They made it all the way to episode 2 before they were put into Kenny and Laurel's elimination against Kenny and Laurel because they were working together, and Sarah and Vinnie were eliminated in episode 2 so early on in that season. But Sarah was back on season 20, Cutthroat, for redemption, and she was the 4th pick by the Gray team, and she was fantastic. The Gray team was great team, and they won 4 or 5 daily challenges. Sarah never saw an elimination during that season. She made it all the way to the finals with her team. However, during the finals, she became severely dehydrated and was medically DQ'd. Mix that with Abrams medically being disqualified during that finals, and the Gray team came in 2nd place, right behind the Red team, but Sarah was able to cash that check for that 2nd place finish. Now Sarah was back for the next season of the challenge, season 21, called Rivals, where she was paired up with her rival from Cutthroat, and that was Caitlin, and the duo made a good team. They went all the way up to episode 5 when they were put into an elimination against Jonna and Jasmine, and they were eliminated early on in episode 5. But Sarah didn't let that hold her down, and she was back for the next season of the challenge, season 22, called Battle of the Exes, where she was paired up yet again with Vinnie Fodi. Yes, the Fresh Meat 2 Vinnie Fodi that she was paired up with back then. They struck up a romantic relationship, and it didn't last long, but they were paired up again. And this time in episode 2, Vinnie ripped off Mandy's dress, getting him disqualified from the game, and because Sarah didn't have another ex that could replace Vinnie, she was also disqualified from going any further in the game, so she was also had to leave the game in episode 2. Very sad, but she was back for redemption yet again for Battle of the Season, season 23 of the challenge, where she was on a team made up of some of her real world castmates from Brooklyn, and she was on the team with Devin, Chet, and JD. They, as a team, went into 4 eliminations. Sarah and Chet paired up in 2 of those eliminations, winning both of them, one against Cara Maria and Brandon, the other one against Mackenzie and Preston. As a foursome, they made it all the way to the finals together. However, they came in 3rd place behind Team Las Vegas, who only had 2 players running in that finals, and behind the rookie team that won that season, Team San Diego, with Zach, Ashley, Sam, and Frank. But Sarah was back on the next season of the challenge, season 24, called Rivals 2, where she was paired up with her rival from Battle of the Seasons, Trishelle. And after a very strong verbal disagreement with Anissa, Trishelle wanted to leave the challenge house, wanted to quit the game, wanted to quit this negative energy and leave it all behind her, and she did just that, leaving Sarah high and dry. And because Sarah didn't have a single rival left in this game or somebody to come in and fill in for Trishelle, Sarah had to leave the game in episode 3. But before she left, she struck up a romantic relationship / hookup with then rookie Jordan Wiseley. And that feeds nicely into the segue that I planned out, as she did not come back for season 25 Free Agents, but she was back on season 26 called Battle of the Exes 2, where she was paired up with none other than Jordan Wiseley, and the two made a fantastic team. Both had brains, both had brawn, both were super competitive. They won 3 daily challenges. They went into 1 elimination against Zach and Jonna in the Hammer It Home elimination. They won that one pretty easily. They made it all the way to the finals. And before we get into that, I want to talk about a little bit of the context of them getting into the finals and the Bananas blind side. Early on in the season, Bananas and Nani were eliminated in episode 5 by Leroy and Naya. And before they were eliminated, Sarah and Bananas were definitely working with each other. But because the Bananas numbers were dwindling, aka Bananas left, Sarah kind of motioned over to Wes's side of the house and played Wes's game to a T and saved herself, saved Jordan. They were doing their thing, and then all of a sudden Bananas came back into the game, aka a redemption house outside of production, doing their thing, winning each week. They came back way later in the game, and Sarah and Jordan kind of just moseyed themselves back onto Bananas' side of the game, and they were able to make it into the final four with Bananas and Nani, Leroy and Nia, and the rookies at that point, Jenna and Jay. They won the final daily challenges. Sarah and Jordan were able to pick who they wanted to see go into the final elimination against Leroy and Nia. And for some more context, Bananas just won the previous season, season 25 free agents, and Nani came in second place, and Sarah knew that if Bananas made it into the finals, he had a great shot at winning this, and Sarah, coming this close, did not want that challenge championship, her first challenge championship, falling through her fingers. So she did the mastery blindside of putting in Bananas and Nani into the final elimination against Leroy and Nia, who already eliminated Bananas and Nani earlier on this season. To make a long story short, Bananas and Nani were eliminated in that final elimination. Sarah and Jordan ran through that finals, putting on a rout and winning it easily, getting Sarah's first challenge championship and Jordan's first challenge championship underneath their belt. Now Sarah took the next season off, season 27, called Battle of the Bloodlines, but she was back on season 28 called Rivals 3, where she was paired up with none other than Bananas. And if you thought Jordan and Sarah were a fantastic team, Bananas and Sarah paired up as a team was just unfair. They won 4 daily challenges. They went into one elimination, the final elimination, against Dario and Nicole, easily beat them, went into the finals, were hitting a home run. However, the twist in that finals was that during the different challenges within the finals, each person is going to be getting an individual score or getting individual points, and the person with the most individual points in their duo would get to choose whether they want to split the money with their partner or keep it all for themselves. And it was stuff like how long one person had to stand on a stump while the other one got to sleep or stay warm, and they would take shifts, and somebody always had to be staying on a stump, and they had to do this all night. They ran the finals, they got first place. Sarah and Bananas had another challenge championship underneath their belts. Sarah this time now is a 2-time challenge champion. However, the decision to see if they were going to split the money or somebody was going to take it all for themselves all rest in the hands of Bananas. And they buried the hatchet many times during this season. They said everything was cool with one another. However, Bananas could not resist by uttering the words, "I'm going to take the money and run, Tej." And it was all over. Sarah was left heartbroken on this mountain. It was solemn. It was silent on that mountain. I mean, this was very striking and just a crazy ending to a challenge season. So Bananas took home all of the $276,000 for himself, and Sarah was left with nothing. And after Rivals 3, Sarah did not come back for another challenge season. She has not appeared on a challenge season or challenged anything to date. She currently is doing a podcast with another challenge alum, Susie. They started their Brain Candy podcast in September of 2015, and in December 31st, 2019, they released their 383rd episode of that podcast. They're still going strong with that podcast, and if you have not listened to the Brain Candy podcast yet, I highly recommend it. It's very educational, it's very entertaining, and it's just fun to listen to, and you can listen to it anywhere. Spotify, iTunes, Google Play / Google Podcasts. You can get it anywhere podcasts are put, and I highly recommend it. Sarah Rice's final challenge stat line runs at 9 challenge seasons, 5 finals, and 2-time challenge champion, taking home a grand prize of $173,000. But what did you think about Sarah Rice when she was on the challenge? Let me know that in the comments section below. Did you used to stand Sarah Rice, or could you not stand Sarah Rice when she was on the challenge? Let me know that too. And do you listen to her podcast, Brain Candy Podcast? And if you do, what do you think about it? I want to know what you think. I've listened to a few episodes. I think it's pretty good. But what do you think about it? Let me know that in the comment section below. While you're down there, hit that like and subscribe button. I'll be back really soon with more challenge videos, more X on the Peak videos, and more videos in general. But until then, peace.